Hello, everyone. My name is Thiago, and here is we have Bruno with us, and this is going to be another interview for the Moonbeam communities. Polkadot is changing ground and with this enabling technology for parachains and several projects happening and allowing us to have this multi-chain universe. And every time that we see some products or some solutions coming out from the parachains, we think that's pretty much it. It's coming from the parachains. But the truth is there's some projects coming, I would say behind the scenes and showing that it can add a lot of value to the world of the Polkadot. And that's Remark. Remark is not a parachain, but is definitely changed how we see NFTs and is giving a lot of utilities to it. In my opinion, Remark is kind of simple to understand, but there are so many applications for Remark that becomes a little bit complex to see how can you use in every potential solutions of it. So we have here with us Bruno. Bruno is the founder of Remark. So welcome, Bruno.
Hi, super happy to be here.
Yeah, that's great. It's our first time here in Moonbeam Communities talking about an NFT project or NFT endeavor, let's say, like Remark. And I think this is going to be very important because we will about to see Remark being available in the Moonbeam, right?
Yeah, that's right. We are basically done with our EVM contracts. We are now testing them, just some formalities and basically bureaucracy to turn them into submittable standards according to some templates and so on. But basically, they can be used right now.
Okay. Well, maybe to start, and there's a lot of people in the Moonbeam community that does not know a lot about Remark yet, or people coming in this EVM world through Moonbeam that does not know what Remark is. Can you briefly introduce Remark to those people that have no idea what Remark is?
Yeah, Remark is two things primarily. One is a standard for NFTs 2.0, so that NFTs can go beyond just being links to static media. And we do this through 5 standalone NFT 2.0 Legos, as we call them. You can put them together into any complicated project without having to write custom code. And secondly, Remark is the company entity behind this standard who also use it to launch products and so on, and who evangelize it, and who basically developed the standard, which is open source and free for everybody to use, but we're kind of like the steward of the standard.
All right. Yeah, we're definitely going to deep dive a little bit more into it. But maybe you can give us your perspective on how is the NFT market today and what Remark is doing to do something different in this market.
Yeah, so right now, most NFTs are just a link to a static media file. This is an image, a movie, something like that. And generally, projects are, made or forgotten based on who notices them and how many Twitter followers they have. Essentially, it's an influencer game because there's so much quality out there, but also just so much low effort stuff coming out that it is very, very easy to get lost in the jungle. And so most projects fail. Fail. More like they never pick up, they never get the attention they should get. While some projects, deservedly or not, get shout outs by influencers and popular figures, and this is how they succeed essentially. None of these projects actually bring anything new to the table because they're all just links to static media. So in that regard, the NFT market is kind of stagnating. The volume and the number of collections may be exploding, but the market itself, the nature of NFTs is completely stagnating. What Remark is a way for NFTs to go beyond that, to be much more than just static links to images. With Remark, you can have reputational avatars for your decentralized application so that people can build up their on-chain reputation into non-transferable tokens inside of transferable tokens, which is a really cool concept. You have the ability to build RPG mechanics for games without writing a single line of code. You have the ability to build collective compositions out of musical stems that you can put together into one common song by many different people who then get their equal share of royalties. You have the ability to put real estate onto the blockchain as an NFT entry, which can in itself contain photographic or architectural records of the previous construction project on that real estate. And inside of that, it can have references to past construction projects, so that an NFT contains everything you need to know about it. And perhaps most, trendy right now, you have the ability to make cross-collection, cross-chain compatible NFTs, which basically translates to the ability to make, for example, a skin in a video game compatible with another game. So in theory, the problem of being unable to transfer a Fortnite skin into Borderlands has been solved. And so now you have this mega empowering creator economy at your fingertips that goes far beyond just pumping out a collection of 10,000 similar animals and trying to sell them.
That is very cool. I mean, I remember, like, you mentioned a lot of stuff that is beyond what I'm gonna say, but I remember when we started talking about the NFT market, a lot of people was like getting into the hype, all the stuff, NFTs, a world of possibilities. But then a year passed by, and all we've seen so far is art collections or groups or community building NFTs, right? And we kind of never developed the potential NFT world that we envisioned. And when I think about RMRK, and you gave a lot of good examples, I think about you, RMRK, like actually covering this initial layer, foundation layer, where we say like NFT is amazing. We're gonna see that's the future and more, right? Because you just mentioned about the cross-chain capabilities. You mentioned about it's a legal NFT that we're gonna talk a little bit more about it. So there's so many things to do more than just the NFT per se, right? And I think I'm a big fan of RMRK, by the way, if it's not clear so in this point in time. But I think that's the way, like that's the enabling technology that we need to create the products that we need in real life. You mentioned some use cases, right? You mentioned about gaming, cross-chain NFTs, and mainly about the RMRK being an NFT project that can last a long time, right? That can withstand the problems with time, right? As time goes by, sometimes the hype passes away, but there's more than that, because you can give utilities, continuously, infinitely. Do you have other use cases? Because we talk about gaming, but I once heard you talk about like DAOs as well, to govern and control DAOs using NFTs. Can you talk a little bit more about it?
Yeah. So one of the 5 Legos that we have is actually NFTs as DAOs, which basically means you can fractionalize an NFT into fungible tokens, and then you kind of have this collective ownership of a single NFT. In traditional NFT environments right now, this is used mainly for gambling, where you buy and sell tokens, you use it to earn money. That's about it. With RMRK, NFTs are designed to do much more, and they have functions of their own. You can equip and unequip accessories in an NFT. You can equip and unequip music stamps in a musical NFT. You can order priority of multi-resource NFTs, and multi-resource NFTs are a whole other story on their own. So essentially, you get this community control over an NFT, and this can then be extended to anything, because with RMRK, we no longer think of NFTs as links to media. We think of them as rows of any data that you can cryptographically prove that you own. And when you have a row of any data, you can literally have any data. So you can literally reference anything in it, even other NFTs. And so there are many interesting use cases for this. One is just using NFTs as membership passes and giving holders votes in a DAO, which is already what we've done with our Kanaria project early on, when we needed to change the parameters of the NFT egg hatching and other details. People voted using Kanaria birds, using those same eggs. But you can also take it much further. You can imagine a Twitch streamer that's gaming, and if that avatar of that gamer is an NFT and he fractionalizes that avatar, then the community that's watching at that moment can in real time equip and unequip different items, change the loadout for the next quest, and basically participate in the gaming of that gamer. of that gaming session, which takes collaborative gaming to a whole new level. It's no longer just backseat gaming, watching somebody play. It's kind of like limited exposure to actual agency in the game. Another interesting use case is our Skybreach metaverse, where the entire world is actually an NFT that contains plots of land that are NFTs, that contain buildings that are NFTs, that contain avatars that are NFTs, that contain backpacks that are NFTs, that contain items that are NFTs, and so on. And so by making the world an NFT, you can fractionalize that and give the avatar holders or the token holders community control over the entire world. And so they have full control over what changes with the entire world, while the granular controls of every other layer are under the control and operation of their respective owners. So you can actually apply NFTs as DAOs when they can do things to a lot of different things, especially as you link one NFT to another NFT by means of nesting them together.
That's amazing. And again, it's a world of possibilities, right? When we think about, that's why I think RMRK can get complex, right? Yeah. For people that does not know RMRK, because there's so many things you can do with it. And
it's very hard to explain a technology that does everything.
Yeah, exactly. And in the same time, it's very simple. Well, it gave a lot of work to develop, but it's kind of the
the components are very simple. Yeah, the components are very standalone and simple, but the power is in the ability to put them together. Yeah.
So I saw in one of your presentations, like, how does one NFT kind of link to the others? Like in the metadata that you can create like several metadatas and you put a reference of the other, like the token address, for example. Is that it?
Almost. In traditional NFTs, you have the owner field, which just returns the address of the owner. In our NFTs, we simply allow this owner to be another NFT.
I see.
And so you can infinitely nest this. If you only care about your immediate parent or immediate child from within an NFT, then that's all you have to care about. And there's no risk of, having too many layers of parents or whatever.
Okay. Can you explain the difference between RMRK 1.0, 2.0, 3.0, and 4.0? Is there, like, what are the grades that we have and where we are?
Yeah, so that's maybe, we hope that that's not going to be relevant anymore very soon with just RMRK 3 existing as RMRK. RMRK 1 was a very simple version, traditional NFTs, static links to media as you have them now, with the addition of on-chain emotes where you could send emoji to anybody's NFT. RMRK 2 is the current version, which allows all of this to happen. It allows nesting, it allows multi-resource NFTs. All of this magic is made possible with RMRK 2. RMRK 3 is the final stage of RMRK, the final evolution that has all of these Lego pieces built out, and that enables, that is basically the only technology out there that allows you to build a decentralized metaverse. And this is what we're trying to build as a proof of concept of all of these Legos, of putting all of it together. That is basically RMRK 3. It's the next stage. So RMRK 3 is this logic, but available on Moonriver and available as Rust palettes on any substrate chain that wants to integrate us.
Interesting. So if I want to build in Moonriver, for example, a RMRK project, whenever we have it available, it's like a smart contract template that is done, or it's like I will reference the palette and just call the palette and create the RMRK collection.
On Moonriver, it would be a contract. I mean, in theory, we could submit the palettes for inclusion into the runtime, and the governance would be able to vote it in. But since it's EVM and we have EVM contracts, it is very easy to just use the template contract and deploy your own version of a RMRK instance. Yes.
Okay. We're going to have more questions about Moonriver and Moonbeam, but I guess right now, maybe what we can jump in, a lot of people is excited about is the Kanaria and Skybreach. A lot of people are talking about Skybreach. And when I try to gather some questions about, like, to ask you about, 99% was Skybreach related. So can you give a quick introduction to Skybreach, where the idea came from, and where we are right now with the Skybreach?
Yep. So Skybreach is our metaverse, the only decentralized metaverse that's being developed. The problem with current metaverses is that they are all just multiplayer games that replaced usernames and passwords with reading an NFT balance to let you log in. And this means that there's no digital scarcity. I can log into 1,000 different instances of the same metaverse using the same NFT. Nothing's going to happen. I can sell it while I'm playing. Nothing's going to happen. And this is because in order to get an NFT into a metaverse, what goes on actually is the game development team has to decide to add this asset. Then they build this asset into their client, and in their database, which usually resides on their server, they will make a note. If a player logs in with a balance of non-zero for this NFT, then let their camera instance, which just logged in, use this particular asset that we have now built in. So there's a chain of single points of failure and centralization vectors here that you don't really, you can't really expect to survive any kind of regulatory or censorship or even downtime problem. And so these metaverses are actually not metaverses at all. There's nothing permanent about them. What we are doing with Skybreach is going full Web3. So we want this to be fully downtime and censorship resistant. And it is our hope, especially with that decentralization, this DAOification of the world that I mentioned before, our hope is to be completely hands-off, not the development team anymore within like 3 years, so that the community can take over and they can build. If we make an environment that is that resistant and it works, then it's kind of, Skybreach itself is a proof of concept of all of these RMRK Legos that we want to build. And so it's kind of an experiment, but also a real product. But for me personally, it's kind of the realization of a secret goal to build a technology that allows anybody to spin up a virtual hangout environment in which you can interact with reasonably real other human avatars and own that experience, so that it doesn't disappear if the game environment disappears. And so if we manage to pull off that technology that lets anybody launch something like that, I will be very happy. And Skybreach is kind of like the first implementation of that. It's basically a world of floating islands that are fragments of a destroyed world from different time periods. And not only are there different time periods of the same world, but also breaches in the sky, so Skybreach, where you breach into other metaverses. Because the nature of RMRK is such that any collection that you launch on the standard is implicitly compatible with every other collection that already exists and every other collection that will exist in the future. This means that you can make multi-metaverse future a reality and in a fully decentralized way. So a new metaverse that comes out can make its assets compatible with Skybreach and just port things over. So you have this multi-metaverse future of collaborating metaverses where instead of them vampire attacking each other for players and draining each other's money, you have one global community of mutually portable assets that just add utility as new projects join and expand this multi-metaverse.
That's crazy. This is so disrupting when you think about it, because when we use the word metaverse and the word blockchain, everything that we have so far, it's not true, right? It's definitely like not achieving this goal, right? We have like this vision of blockchain, of decentralization, all this stuff. And we have this metaverse that says that it's built on blockchain, but the truth is, it's not sharing the same values as we maximalists in blockchain want to. So when we think about Skybreach and the open possibilities, like you said, like I never understood the name Skybreach. Now it makes sense, right? It's a possibility of taking even a Kanaria, who knows, and sending it to another metaverse, right? And exactly anywhere.
Yeah, we're already talking to a lot of different projects that are building on top of this technology and building similar style things of bringing their own avatars into Skybreach and bringing ours outside. There will also be other cross-universe, cross-game applications that are beyond the metaverse itself. There's a mini game called Chunky Quests that just vaguely links to Skybreach, but is not a part of it directly in the world itself. In many ways, all of these other projects that are building their so-called metaverses or NFT communities and whatnot, I don't blame them for making terrible compromises and just going full Web 2, even as much as, in going so far as, just pretending they have something they don't. Because frankly, everybody's on a very tight timeline. All of those projects have their own investors. Even those that say that don't really have VCs, they all have VCs. Everybody's breathing down somebody's neck, and this is further exacerbated by the bear market, plus the fact that everybody's aware that this is a trend, this is a current hype wave, and that the metaverse hype is going to deflate not so far in the future. So everybody's really racing and scrambling, and only the teams that can actually slow down and build with uncompromised ideals in mind and stay true to the vision will outlast the bear market. Because I think we can all be pretty sure that the crypto degens are not going to stick around and play multiplayer games through the bear market, as they have to return to their regular jobs. So you have to think very, very long term with this.
Yeah, I agree. More questions about Skybreach. We are in a phase of, we're going to start soon the land sales, right? I got some deeds myself, some vouchers already burned, by the way. I almost forgot to burn. And I have friends with Kanarias, and more. One question that they have is that it's kind of comment that is there's so many details and so many layers that you have to understand that is a little bit difficult to see, like, it's very hard to make a decision, right? Which land I'm going to buy, because there's so many layers. So my question for you is going to be some basic questions about Kanaria and Skybreach. And hopefully from there, we can go a little bit further into other questions. So if I buy a land, rare land, it doesn't really matter. And I want to build in this land, I need probably resources, right? And my understanding is that the Chunkies is the one that is gonna get the resources. Right. Every land has the potential to generate resources as much as we want. Is there any differences between lands that will give more available resources than others? No.
Yes. So rarer land will have more diverse resources. Resources can be depleted, but will regenerate. So this is alpha. You can consider this alpha. And I've not said this anywhere else.
Okay.
So you have the exclusive scoop. Rarer land has more diverse resources, and you don't know what you get or how much of it until you survey the land. Resources can be depleted, but they will regenerate through breaches. These breaches appear everywhere. And so as, land, let's say that you have a silver vein or something, and you mine out the silver vein and it's now empty. Eventually, there's going to be a breach pop into existence to restore balance to this land. And so it's going to just pull in silver from another parallel universe into the same existence where it was. So this is how resources regenerate. Harbinger taxed land, for example, is perma-breached, which means that those resources never basically expire. You can keep mining them indefinitely, which is why this land can also be Harbinger tax sold at every moment. But essentially, the rarity dictates how many diverse resources you will have, and it also dictates how rich those resources will be. It is not guaranteed, it's just probabilities, but there's a much higher probability in rarer land to get a better distribution of richer resources.
Okay, and I can buy those resources, I can mine those resources using my chunkies, and if I understood correct, one chunk per land, or if I have Kanarias, I can have up to 3 chunkies with a Kanaria.
That is the current plan. This is still subject to balancing. We'll see about that later on, but you will actually be able to interact with your land way before Skybreach is live. In fact, the Chunky Quests project will let you interact with your land way before you have anything to walk around in. So you'll be able to send them on quests and on surveying quests way before you can actually play Skybreach as a walkable avatar.
Okay. All right. So I will get those resources and I will be able to sell those resources in the open market, right? If I want to. And to build anything inland, I need resources, right?
Right.
And to build, do I need a vehicle or is it equipment to build on land or no? If I just
you will need some equipment that will speed up construction, yes. You will also need to learn the blueprint for building that thing that you're building. So we anticipate there to be a market of builders and crafters that you will be able to pay, or you can train your own chunkies to become that. But it's not going to be easy. And they will need to be of a certain level and have a certain skill in order to be able to pull that off. And as we all know, chunkies can die when they level up, which means that, in theory, those will be fairly rare and valuable once they do level up to the point of being a builder. So the idea is to have a strong demand for high quality specialized chunkies.
Okay. All right. About the biomes, is there any, like in the first opportunity that I have to buy, I will be able to choose between any biomes, right? There's no restriction. Let's say if I don't have a Kanaria and I'm trying to make a decision, and I imagine my decision will be towards a land that I really like, and I will probably buy a Kanaria that is related to that biome somehow, this biome. But is there any real advantage of having a Kanaria that is like in the low tier, let's say, that doesn't have like a full set, it's not a full set Kanaria? Does that have any benefits, of linking between the biomes and those Kanarias?
Yeah, well, the more related your Kanaria is to a biome that you own, the more proficient it's going to be in that biome, and guiding the chunkies and just using the land in any way. So yeah, the more overlap there is in context between them, there is going to be some benefit. Okay,
it's clear. About the scheduling for Skybreach, what are the next steps? When is the next step? What can you expect?
So we have now recently, and this is also going to come out any day now as a more detailed post, but we have teamed up with Fala Network on a new product called CypherMod. And CypherMod is an SDK for building metaverses and game-like experiences for new or existing metaverses. It is in many ways the next evolution of the RMRK toolkit, where you can just click your way through options that you want to launch and compile the final product. This includes games, but also sub-games and game-like experiences for metaverses like Skybreach or Sandbox and similar. It's being designed as an open source toolkit of plugins, as basically a substrate for metaverses. And this is something we will use heavily, dog food heavily, to build Skybreach, and what Fala will use heavily to build Fala World. So we have an SDK for building games that 2 games are using already. This does mean that the 1.0 version, like the full release, which I don't know if it ever happens in MMORPG games, but let's call it the 1.0 release of Skybreach, is going to happen sometime in 2023. But everything else is going to happen before that. So you will be able to interact with your land, you will be able to survey things, you will be able to send chunkies on quests, you'll be able to bridge over your Kanaria, you'll be able to collect items, you'll be able to even equip community created items onto chunkies. Chunkies are a collection on which we will just whitelist everything that people make, which means that the community will be able to make items equipable onto the chunkies. So a lot of Skybreach intended functionality is coming out way before 1.0. And in many ways, it is going to be the game. But we are, instead of waiting for one monolithic 1.0 release, we'll be releasing chunks of the game over time, so that we can have time to perfect them, but also so that people have less information to consume. Like you said, there's a lot of info to learn, and dropping it all on people is just not a recipe for success. So we think it's a better approach to just release like mini games between, spaced out, so that we can onboard people much more easily, and then wrap it up in one nice whole. Okay.
One question that pops up, because you mentioned about Fala, where Skybreach will be, like in which blockchain? Is there going to be like in StateMine or Fala, or do you guys have any plans already? How does it work?
Everything for Skybreach. So the really great thing about RMRK is that any game built on it, well, most games built on it don't actually need a backend. Typically in gaming, in multiplayer gaming, you need a backend to make connections between clients, between game clients, and to do essentially what amounts to cheat protection. So there's going to be a backend, like a service, that keeps an eye on everything that's going on in the game. And if it notices something like, one player crazy spawning across the map, obviously that's illegal. So that player is going to be kicked out. And with RMRK, if you have an avatar that's an NFT and you have a piece of land that is an NFT, the only way for that avatar to be in that piece of land is to literally send that avatar into the piece of land so that the piece of land owns that avatar. And this means that you cannot log into 1,000 different instances of Skybreach in 1,000 different locations with that avatar. It is in that one piece of land. And you kind of have this consensus layer cheat protection that is built into the NFT protocol itself. Additionally, in these typical metaverses that are just multiplayer games, all of your game state is saved on their database. And when that shuts down, you lose everything. But with the RMRK character progression system, you get experience points that are non-transferable tokens inside of transferable tokens, inside of your avatar. So your avatar grows with you as you play. You get items that go inside of your avatar. You get skills that go inside of your avatar. You will level up your avatar by getting a new resource into it. And so you evolve your NFT as you play, which means that all of the game state is contained in the NFTs themselves. And so we don't actually need a backend. We don't need one at least running constantly. When we need to do some sort of calculation, we can offload that to Fala for a decentralized backend processing. Maybe, for example, a huge world event happened and we need to recalculate where each Skyland is now and what happened to each one. So we can offload that to Fala. We get the final result back that's added to the NFT state of the world, and the NFT state continues from there. This also means that not only does it mean that we don't need servers to handle all of this, it also means that anybody can build an alternative UI for Skybreach because it's all in the NFTs. All the state is in NFTs, instantly readable by anybody at any time. So this is a true Web3 metaverse. And so yeah, that's the goal there. And yeah, Fala comes into the play here when you need to do some non-player calculation, some non-player interaction calculation that you have nowhere to run. So that needs to run somewhere. Yeah.
Okay. So that's amazing. Like the UI is actually just like you come up with the UI, but the UI is getting the data directly from the blockchain, right? That's it. But how is the interaction? And maybe that's another question that we have here too. Like you guys gonna launch in Moonbeam and Moonriver pretty shortly, but it's gonna be kind of different, right? Because it's in a smart contract and not like in the state of RMRK as is today. How can they interact between one another? Because it looks like we're talking about two different entities, like I'm a non-technical person, so maybe I'm asking a silly question, but you know what I mean? Like I'm coming up with for a smart contract RMRK style, and then I'm trying to interact with an NFT that is in state mine. How
yeah, so no, everything's going to be happening on Moonriver. NFTs go on Moonriver, and since everything's contained in NFTs, everything is on Moonriver. When we have that backend processing, we send that off to Fala, and you can do that with cross-chain messaging.
Yeah.
But the NFTs themselves and the interactions between them are all happening on Moonriver. And Kanaria interacting with Chunkies and doing everything else, this is also going to happen on Moonriver because you're going to bridge Kanarias over into Moonriver. So it's all happening on Moonriver.
Okay. And will the Kanarias upgrade to the smart contract version, or there's no need to it?
Yes. Once you bridge them over, they will become the smart contract version of themselves. Yeah.
Okay. I have it's probably going to be a silly question for a guy non-technical, but we have the ERC21 tokens, which is the fungible tokens. We have the 721 and the 1155, which is the non-fungible and the non-fungible with some other functionalities. Is RMRK like a ERC something? Like, why doesn't it should be classified as a, let's say, ERC 999? Because it has
you don't want that number. You don't want that number. ERC999 is a very famous ERC that you don't want to deal with.
Yeah, well, I was better lucky to choose a very wrong example then. But no, you got my point, right? Like, is ERC something, some number, because it's a new standard as well? Like,
yeah, it is a new standard. It's hopefully going to become its own ERC because we are going to submit it to the standards body for discussion. ERC7, what we've built is basically in many ways a drop-in replacement for ERC721 and ERC1155. So if you want that same functionality that you had before, but also let your NFTs do much more, you just implement our stuff and that's it. And you're backwards compatible, you can use it with anything else. So what is a standard? A standard is just a list of functions that a program has to have. And so ERC721 has its own list of functions, ERC1155 has its own list of functions. And you can even implement, you can even build a smart contract that has the functions from each of these, from both of these. And then it will be compatible with both ERC721, ERC1155. It's just a list of functions. It doesn't even say what the functions should do. It's just a list of functions that you need to have. So our standard is basically a new list of functions that go into a smart contract to make NFTs better. And then you can add in the same list of functions from ERC721 or ERC1155, and it's automatically compatible.
Okay. But the team that has old ERC721, they have to develop like those other attributes to be used. For example, we have an NFT collection that we want to use in a new metaverse. The team will have to come up with the clothes that will be suitable to this new metaverse, right? Or the avatar in 2D, for example, or 3D.
Oh, yes, yes. So anybody who has an existing ERC721 collection or something like that, they would have to essentially remint their collection if they want it compatible with RMRK. In no small part because they have static images. You can't really take apart a static image. So they have to have the original components from which they generated these images, and the source code of the randomizer they use to put them together. So once you have that, you can very easily upgrade to RMRK, but you can't go there from static images, even though we are running an experiment that will turn some Bored Apes into composable NFTs. We have 6 Bored Apes signed up for the pilot project, where we'll just bridge them over into RMRK and decompose them into equipables and trade their accessories on the secondary market and even add some new ones in.
So we might be able to see some Bored Apes in Skybreach pretty soon.
In Skybreach, I doubt it, but maybe if the world governance votes it in. But we'll start small, Kanaria and Chunkies at first.
Okay. All right. One last question about Kanaria that I remember people talking about. If I buy lands together, I'll be able to group them together and act like a one.
In some way, we can't really make a plot of land, a grid of land in which you walk into a bigger grid of land, because it makes for a very weird experience if the shape is not regular, because you have to render much more stuff on screen and it becomes inaccessible to mobile devices and all of the other stuff that we want to target. So functionally, it will act as one land, yes, but visually, you will still have to go from grid to grid. Okay.
So somebody asked about potential concerns regarding the speed of the metaverse and walking over there. My answer to him was that you can freely walk by because everything that you see over there is already like plotted to you because it was already read in the blockchain. But if you interact with something, you have to wait for the block to be built, right? Do you guys have any of those concerns, or Skybreach metaverse does not really requires a lot of on-speed chains and transactions being happening?
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. So what you have is you can walk around freely. That's kind of like this read-only mode in essentially what is a range of 3x3 lands. So in a radius of like nine lands, you can walk around freely without triggering anything. We have this concept of proxy session keys built for accounts where you generate a special key, like a private key for a wallet, but that is designated to only be usable for moving your character from one land to the other. And this is going to be stored in your browser or client so that you're never asked to sign a transaction or something when you're walking around. So it's going to be auto-signed, but it's also not the end of the world if you lose that key or if somebody steals it, because all they can do is walk around. And so this is like a UX method of making it easy to use, but essentially we don't really expect people to walk very far distances because they have their own large land to explore, and then every next land to it they can go to without triggering a transaction. It is only when they move 2 lands beyond that a transaction triggers to move the avatar into the adjacent land, at which point that's just 1 transaction, and again you have access to 9 other lands in that vicinity. This is necessary because you need to make sure that people are in a land that they want to interact with. It would be no problem otherwise, but you need to make sure that that's a thing. So we're still looking at decreasing the number of transactions needed, but it's already at a non-critical level. And with some L2 experiments coming out, we are quite optimistic on the throughput side and on the demand side of this.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Bruno, I think we're running out of time. I just want to thank you so much for this interview, for the alphas, and a lot of information that you give about Skybreach as well.
My pleasure.
Do you have any final thoughts? Like, what are you most excited about, like the next steps for Skybreach or for?
Well, I have 3. One is don't worry about the land too much. Don't overthink it. Everybody's improvising this as it goes along, and it can all go to hell in 3 years because we will surrender control to the community. So have fun. Don't sell your house or something. Just join us in the fun. Expect fun. Don't expect to live off of this. It's not a play to earn thing or something. Just have fun with us. Have fun with us testing a new technology. Second is, please come mint advanced NFTs with us. Go to singular.app and try out everything we've built. We think it's really exciting, and there's more stuff coming out as soon as we finish this land sale and can focus on Singular again. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Other than that, I would say, don't compromise ideals. Go, always follow the builders, and just, don't be afraid of diving into any projects that you think are very interesting. Everybody you ever meet will know something you don't. So just, talk to as many people as you can, explore as many projects as you can. The world is so interesting and so big that it's not worth stagnating. So just explore as much as you can. Our projects, other people's projects, you're at the precipice of a new technology, and just don't be afraid of it.
This is a great ending, Bruno, to be honest. Very, very good words, and I share the same values, the same thoughts. Hopefully we're gonna see each other again in Skybreach.
Indeed.
All right, Bruno, thank you so much for the interview.
Thank you for having me.
All right, talk to you soon.